Hello, viewers. Today is Friday, June 20th, 2025. Today, I would like to share my thoughts on the budget bill that has been worked on the Senate right now. And as you all probably are aware, that the U.S. House of Representatives have already passed a budget bill, and it has been sent over to the Senate. And let's look at the key features of this bill and also look at how this is progressing in the Senate and who are all the people who are likely to vote for or against the bill. So, first of all, the bill that was passed by the US House of Representatives contains the extension of the tax cuts for the next 10 years. And then it also looks at some savings, mostly by cutting Medicaid. By cutting Medicaid, what I mean is that they are going to put some stronger work eligibility for the Medicare recipients, and also they are going to cut some of the benefits with respect to Medicaid, and then they are also going to make some significant cuts on the SNAP program, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Remember, Medicaid is being used for people who are very old and who do not have enough money in their bank account or any assets under their name, and this has been heavily used by the people who are very, very poor, especially in the rural areas. And by cutting Medicaid, I think this is going to create a lot of problems for very, very poor and also very elderly people. And then by making some cuts on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, you are again going to basically target either the very old who could not take care of themselves, who do not have enough money or enough savings in their bank accounts, or you're going to look at people who are very old or disabled, who could not potentially work and who are not getting necessary nutrients on their meals on a daily basis. So these two are the programs that are quite popular, especially in the rural areas. But the House of Representatives bill has made some significant cuts to Medicaid. And those are the two major issues, one on the tax cuts front, another one on the spending cuts front. But if you look at the overall effect of this bill, the Congressional Budget Office says that it will add to the deficit, to the debt, close to 2.7 trillion to 3.3 trillion dollars. It's mostly because of the tax cuts that's going to cost anywhere between 3.5 trillion to 3.8 trillion over the next 10 years. And it also talks about a very insignificant portion. When you look at the grand scheme of things, you're only saving somewhere close to around 700 billion to around $1 trillion over 10 years by making these drastic cuts in Medicaid and SNAP. And that is where the big question is now on the Senate. Some of the senators, the Republican senators, are saying that the House did not go far enough on the Medicaid cuts. And the Republican Party, the senators from the Republican Party are saying that we should do more cuts. But there is another element to this whole budget, is that there is an increase in the defense spending for almost $350 billion over a period of 3 years, the first 3 years. But they do not want to look at that spending. They do not want to look at any other areas, but they are trying to cut Medicaid. So one of the interesting points were made by even a Republican senator from the state of Missouri, Josh Hawley. He said that he is not in favor of making these huge cuts in Medicaid. That was 2-3 weeks ago. But just yesterday, he came out and said that as long as you don't cut more than what the House has already cut, I'm okay, is what he's now claiming, because he's now using a different logic to say that we should not cut more, because if we cut more, the House will not be able to pass, because there are a lot of moderate Republican senators who might not vote for this further cuts on Medicaid. So the long and short story of this is, like, how is this going to be played in the Senate? As things stand right now, the Senate is trying to see if they can reduce the effect of that increase in debt. And as I mentioned, it's somewhere between 2.7 trillion to 3.3 trillion over a period of next 10 years. That's like around 250 to 260 billion dollars a year. It's going to add to the deficit, then adding it to the debt. So it's actually in addition to already existing deficit. So the Republican senators want to prove that they are, fiscally conservative. They are taking stringent action. In fact, Rand Paul, another one of those Republican senators, who said that he would not vote for this bill because it is not reducing the debt over a period of 10 years. So this kind of internal skirmishes is going on. But in my view, there are only two senators that I think would go against the party if it comes to the floor even today. But before we go to that and discuss about those two senators, let's look at the makeup of the Senate as of now. As of now, we have 45 Democrats, and then you have two independents who generally vote with the Democrats. One is Bernie Sanders from Vermont, and then you have Agnes King from Maine. And then you have 53 Republican senators. And so the Republican Party has got a 3-seat majority, so they can afford to lose 3 senators. And it'll, even if there is a tie, the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, being actually the presiding authority of the Senate, can come and break the tie. So the Vice President can always break the tie. So the Republican Party can afford to lose 3 senators from their ranks and still be able to pass this bill. If they mark it up, or if they pass the same bill that the House has sent over to them, it doesn't matter. The Republicans have got enough room here to maneuver. But there are 2 senators, Republican senators, that I would like to look at to see if they are going to buck the party's directive, party's leader, that is President Trump, and vote against this bill. One is Susan Collins from Maine. She's up for re-election in 2022. This is always going to be a very tough re-election for her. Maine generally is some kind of a state where it tends to vote. It has got an independent streak, and especially if you have the presidency with one party, they might go against that party. They have some independent streak, but Susan Collins has been winning there for almost 3 terms now. I think she's in her 3rd term right now. So she has to make some calculation to see whether these Medicaid cuts are going too far and it's going to affect a lot of elderly and poor people. And then she has to make up her mind. She has an independent streak of mind, but eventually she tends to vote with the Republican Party. But I'm going to keep a close eye on Susan Collins. Then we have a senator from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski. She is a little bit more independent than even Susan Collins, because remember, when she was not nominated by the Republican Party, she went on to run as an independent, and she won a Senate election as an independent. So she's now back in the Republican Party. So she's a Republican senator, and she has not really said anything. She has just said that that I'm going to look at this bill very closely, and I'm going to keep my cards very close to my chest. And she has not made any comment about whether she's going to really vote yes or no on this bill. So I will look at her as well. Then let's look at some of the other people who might buck the party, which is highly unlikely, but still I will throw out some names here. One is Rand Paul. He's been making some noises, but eventually at the end of the day, he's a Republican senator from Kentucky. I think for his own re-election, I don't think he will go against President Trump. Then I talked about Josh Hawley. He started off saying that he might not vote for this bill, but then now he has come to some kind of a compromise with the Senate leadership, and I think he's going to eventually vote for the bill, is what I'm thinking. Then you have the senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. He also had the same kind of rhetoric when this bill got passed in the House and came to the Senate. He said this is not going to work here. We are not going to pass this bill as is, and he said he's going to make a lot of changes. But then when President Trump called some of these senators and he said that he doesn't want too many changes, he has backed down a little bit. I've not heard from him of late. I do not know what he is going to do, but eventually, when everything is on the line, I think he will just go ahead and vote with the Republican Party. Then there is another wild card, which is Mitch McConnell. He was the Senate Majority Leader before. He was the leader of the Republican Party in the Senate for very, very long time. He has now decided that he will not seek re-election. So he is kind of a free bird, and he had his own problems with President Trump. But he has been saying that he has got nothing against this bill. He is for these Medicaid cuts, and he had said that overall he likes the tax cuts, and in fact, he wants to spend more on defense actually. So even though he's considered as a little bit hostile to President Trump, I don't think that he will eventually vote against the Republican Party and the Republican leader, which is President Trump. So we have an interesting scenario that is going to play out in the next couple of weeks, because President Trump wants this bill to be passed by the 4th of July, which is the Independence Day. So he wants to pass by the 4th of July this year. So let's see how the Republican Senate works on this House bill and what kind of changes they're going to do. And once they make the changes, they have to pass it in the Senate with a simple majority. So they have the votes there, but then they have to go and reconcile that bill with the House, and then they have to pass another reconciled bill on both houses, meaning House of Representatives and the Senate. So we have only 2 more weeks for the 4th of July. So we're going to have some intense activity between now and the 4th of July. But before I go, I just want to also call out some of these talking heads on the national media, especially on these channels, the so-called channels that report on the capital markets on a minute basis, and most of the times they are wrong. But one such talking head said that this bill is very good, and when one of the other guests confronted him and said, "Why are you just always thinking that it is better to just cut these Medicaid and the SNAP and other programs that are benefiting the old and the elderly and the poor?" He just mentioned that, at some point of time we need to tell everybody that we cannot take care of everybody. Then there is this guy came back and said that, "Why are you not looking at cutting defense?" Then he said, "No, this is not a good time to cut defense." So I just want to call out this kind of narrative from somebody who thinks that he is a financial expert. In fact, I will even name him. I don't have any problems. This is Rick Santelli from CNBC, who had mentioned this on live television. So I was totally astonished, and I was surprised to see such a statement coming from somebody who thinks that he is very well educated and he knows everything about the market, but he doesn't give a damn about the poor and the elderly people. And that's how these kind of people have stooped down to at this point of time. I will just end with us. I will come back to you with another program tomorrow. Till then, take care.